Good evening to everyone this sort of wet Tuesday evening. We're glad you're here, and it's really nice to see folks coming back and especially having children in the audience with us tonight. We look forward to celebrating with you. If you would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the Treasure Hunter Pledge. As an adult and a treasure hunter, I believe that all the talents, skills, and intelligence that exist in all children and youth. I believe all children are capable of success, no exceptions. Thank you. You may be seated. We have a pretty full agenda tonight, and first up we have a public hearing. So public hearing is now open. The first item is the proposed adoption of amendments to School Board Policy number 5.10. Are there any in the audience that wish to address this particular item? Seeing none come forward, Mr. Superintendent, could we have your recommendation for 2.1, please?
Recommend the board adopt the proposed amendments to School Board Policy number 5.10 as submitted.
Thank you. Board members, we have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
I so move. Second it.
All in unison tonight. I love it. So we have a motion by Mr. Ingersoll, a second by Dr. Mills. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Our second public hearing is number 2.2, the proposed adoption of the K-12 English Language Arts ELA benchmarks for excellent student thinking, known as BEST, in instructional materials. Are there any in the public that wish to address this item tonight? Seeing none, Mr. Superintendent will receive your recommendation.
Recommend the board adopt the proposed K-12 English Language Arts benchmarks and excellent student thinking best instructional materials as submitted.
Thank you. We have a recommendation, board members. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. A motion to accept the proposed adoption of the K-12.
Thank you, Dr. Mills, and thank you, Mr. Ingersoll, for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. And our public hearing is now closed. Move on to our special orders of business. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you. I'm going to call up Ms. Martin, and she will take over from here.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board Members, Superintendent Gent. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Kevin Perry to the podium to share with you some essay contest winners.
Madam Chair, School Board Member, Superintendent Gent. About 14 years ago, the school district set aside their naming policy and named one of our schools after a long-time educator, school board member who had 34 plus years on the board, Dr. Samuel S. Gaines. As part of that recognition, we also have an essay contest during African American History Month where we celebrate students and their essays. They're asked to write about an African American that made an important impact on their life and explain why. And tonight, we're here to recognize those student winners at each grade level. So students, as I call your name, would you please come forward? Elementary, third place recipient, Larkin Reichert. Second place, Jubilee Borges. And first place, Logan Fareed. In middle school, third place, Willens Coupe, Dorian Mendoza, and Giselle Cisneros. And our high school winners, Gabriella Barnaby, Abigail Arnold, and Jemiah Bradley. While those students are coming forward, we want to also call Brian Garcia from Remnant Construction up to join us. Madam Chair, School Board Member, Superintendent Gent, Brian Garcia has been the financial backer and partner for this essay contest every year since its inception. So thank you, Mr. Garcia. Will all of our parents of these wonderful students please stand or raise your hand and be recognized at this time also? Parents, thank you for your continual support of all the things that we do here in St. Lucie Public Schools.
Congratulations.
And our next item, I'd like to invite Dr. Gillard forward, who will read a proclamation for Mental Health Month.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Gent, thank you so much for your support of mental health awareness and for wearing your t-shirts. Our students in our Hope Ambassadors Club at Fort Pierce Central High School, under the direction of Mrs. Santoro, designed those shirts this year. So we're really proud of them. The School Board of St. Lucie County is designating May 2021 of the 2021 school year as Mental Health Month. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans face challenges in life that can impact their mental health, especially during a pandemic, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there are practical tools that all people can use to improve their mental health and to increase resiliency, and whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full and productive lives, and whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen share in the need to raise awareness about mental health and has a responsibility to promote mental health awareness and support prevention and treatment efforts. Therefore, the School Board of St. Lucie County, Florida, does hereby proclaim May 2021 as Mental Health Month and is committed to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health by educating its students and employees about steps that can be taken to protect their mental health. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gillard. We would take a resolution to adopt this, please, or a motion to adopt.
So move that we adopt the Mental Health Month proclamation.
Thank you, Dr. Mills. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Next, we will take a few moments to recognize our May Star Recipients. These are employees who go above and beyond, and we're awarding them with a special thanks and recognition award. The first individual is Ray Almonte, who is the plant manager at Mariposa Elementary. He was nominated by Craig Logue, the principal. And Mr. Logue states, Monty, as some of the staff refer to him as, is an amazing plant manager. Since he started working at Mariposa, he has transformed the entire maintenance department and has been instrumental in developing procedures for his staff that they all follow. This in turn has helped keep the building exceptionally clean, and over the past 16 years that Mr. Logue has been at Mariposa, the school has never looked better since Ray took over the maintenance responsibilities. So congratulations to Mr. Almonte. Next, we have Katie Swiss, who is a conduct counselor at Westgate K-8. She was nominated by Christy Parker, the principal. Katie actually performed the Heimlich maneuver on a third grade student who was choking during lunch. The student approached Dean Swiss using the universal sign that he was choking, and she quickly jumped into action, performed the Heimlich maneuver, eventually dislodging food that was stuck in his throat. Obviously, that's going way above and beyond, and we're very thankful that she was there. So congratulations to Katie Swiss, and thanks again. The next recipients are a team made up of Vaughn Peter, who you know just recently retired, a network zone analyst, Albert Diaz, an electrician from the Facilities and Maintenance Department, Eric Albrighton, technical support specialist, and Robert D'Amato, who is an operation project manager in Facilities and Maintenance. These individuals were nominated by Principal Dejan Jackson at FK Sweet Elementary. Recently, this team went above and beyond for completing a technology upgrade needed in 2 second-grade classrooms. When students returned back from the virtual setting to the traditional brick-and-mortar classroom, more space was needed. The team heard the concern and mobilized to help make adjustments to the technology, giving the much-needed space. Vaughn spoke with administration and developed an action plan where Robert handled everything electrical and made sure that the power they needed was available. Albert also handled the technology components of the upgrade, and Eric provided the professional development to teachers after hours. The team at FK Suite is extremely thankful for their dedication. Next, we have a dynamic duo of Ronald Kramer, a network cabling specialist from ITS, and Keith Heisey, a security camera tech. These individuals were nominated by Principal Lisa Sullivan at Dan McCarty. She indicates that these two have spent so much time at Dan McCarty installing the cameras, working nonstop, showing incredible patience in teaching the staff how to use the new system, going above and beyond walking the campus and watching traffic patterns to make sure that the cameras were installed in the correct locations. She says that they are amazing and so deserving of a star shout out. So congratulations to those individuals. We also have bus driver Linda Marcusello. She was nominated by the parent. A student reported that they were being bullied on the bus, and the bus driver took immediate action in accordance with our code of conduct and put interventions in place to make sure it did not happen again. The parent was so pleased with how the situation was handled, she wanted to make sure that the bus driver was recognized. So congratulations to Linda Marcusello. And that is all for our Star Awards this evening.
Congratulations to all recipients. We now will move on to our Eso Report and welcome Mr. Freeland to the podium tonight.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Superintendent Gent. I usually begin by saying a couple of good things, and actually I have to tell you there's a lot of good things to talk about in the progress that the union and the district is making, from negotiating full book to solving the everyday hurdles that we all face. And I'd like to spend more time doing that, but there's a topic I really think is important that I address. That's the topic of masks and the mandate to wear masks in our schools. I realize that this is a topic that has divided our members, our community, and even the school board. But I do want to tell you some of the concerns that I, as the president of the union, have for our members and those educators out in the schools and for the students. I'm not sure if there's a misunderstanding about what purpose masks serve, but a mask does not protect the person wearing it. It protects the people they come in contact with. And so if I choose not to wear a mask, I don't endanger myself, I endanger those around me, whether it's students, educators, or the community. So far since, well, not even last March, over a year ago, we've been following the CDC recommendations as well as we can in our schools. CDC still recommends that masks be worn in schools at this time. My concern about abandoning those guidelines and striking out on our own as a district is that, first of all, if something should go wrong, we become responsible for that decision and the harm that it may do. The other concern I have is if we leave those guidelines and, again, strike out on our own, what guidelines do we use for the other protocols that are in place as we go forward into next year? I also point out that we have been lucky or good at what we do, or a little of both. The numbers in our schools are low, and that's good news. That could be in part, and probably is in part, because we have been wearing masks and doing the other things that we need to do to protect ourselves and our students in those settings. Having said that, if the district decides to do this, if the board were to decide to lift the mask mandate now, next year, 2 years, whenever it is, I just want you to know that the union would still be there doing what we can to keep our members, the community, and our students safe. But there is a concern that lifting the mask mandate too early will place us and our students and ultimately the community at risk. And that is really the extent of what I want to say tonight. Again, knowing that it's a divisive topic. I mean, someday maybe I can tell you about the emails I received from all ends of the spectrum and in the middle. So I understand that this is a tough decision, but I think it's our role to err on the side of caution to protect those students that we're charged with teaching and protecting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeland. Anyone with us tonight from CWA that wishes to speak with us? Seeing none, I know our Youth Advisory Council representative is here.
Madam
Welcome to the,
Chair.
yes.
I received a call from Ms. Martha, and she had a surgery today. So, and husband is quite ill, so she will not be here tonight, but please keep her and her family in your prayers.
Thank you for that. Welcome. It's good to see you all tonight.
Good evening, school board members, Chairwoman Hawley, and Superintendent Gent. We want to provide an update of the organizational council proceedings. With the assistance of Chairwoman Hawley, we have begun communicating with the administration at each public high school within the county. Our goal is to share how we will proceed with the identification of council members, while allowing the flexibility in selection procedures. We are confident that the freedom in membership selection methods would allow for the appropriate selection of new members in accordance with the particular school's environment. Our goal is to offer students a fair opportunity to be selected so the council is representative of the 40,000 students across the St. Lucie Public School District.
We will begin our organizational meetings in September with Chairwoman Hawley as the advisor to the council. As this academic year concludes, we want to thank the school district, the school personnel for their tireless effort throughout the year. This year has been particularly difficult for students. Nevertheless, with supports of teachers and staff, students have persevered through their academic and personal struggles. Thank you once again. We look forward to the upcoming summer and the energized return of students in August.
Wonderful report. Thank you so much. And Ms. DeMayo, may I congratulate you for being here each and every time and supporting them, and I know you've just been a real help to them, so thank you for that. Okay, we now move to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented?
Motion moved.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Mills. Any conversation? All in favor of adopting it as presented?
So moved.
Aye. We've got the motion. I need the ayes.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, motion carries unanimously. The agenda has been accepted as presented. Mr. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation for
Recommend the board approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Okay, before we recognize that, are there any items to remove for separate discussion? Hearing none, we have a recommendation.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. And Mr. Ingersoll, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. We then move all the way to the back to our superintendent and staff reports. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. I want to recognize and welcome City Commissioner Jeremiah Johnson, who's here tonight in the back, and good to see him. A big supporter of our school district. Want to congratulate, number one, I think it's going to go up, is a Northport student. This young lady, Madison Tredor, a fifth grader, won the Florida Retired Educators Association essay contest. She'll be recognized at the state conference. She won a cash prize, and the title of her essay was, quote, "A Happy Memory with a Grandparent." So we want to congratulate her. Next, we have this young lady who is Brianna Miles, and Brianna is a senior at Lincoln Park Academy. She'll be heading up to Florida State University, and she will be a Port St. Lucie representative that will be competing in the Florida Miss Teen competition this year. I hope the picture that I took with her doesn't hurt her chances at all. But a very, very bright girl. She is the goddaughter of Latricia Woolard, one of our executive directors. We were talking about this at Cabinet last week, and Latricia just started spilling out all these facts on her, and then at the end told us she was her godmother. So she's going to represent Port St. Lucie and our entire county very, very well. A very, very bright young lady, and again with a bright future, so we wish her the best. Also, Mosaic Digital Academy and Fairlawn have been selected to receive the Imagine National, their Beacon Award winners. It's a computer program for our ESOL students. Mosaic and Fairlawn have been selected. They were nominated for Above and Beyond Enthusiasm and Innovative Use of Imagine Learning. There are only about 75 schools selected in the entire country, and they are one of 2 of those. And then wanted to bring to the board's attention that particularly in our southwest area, we're experiencing, as everybody's aware, a lot of rapid growth. In the Tradition area, the southwest area, there's a high level of activity. There's a lot of developments that are going on there. And that's increasing our student population. And we believe that we're going to be in need of a high school in that area in the very near future. So we're going to begin, we have some properties that are located there. Marty and myself have been meeting in Terrence, and we're going to begin exploring, looking at numbers, looking at the sites that are there, and then coming back to the board in a couple of months with some information to share with you, and then to see where that goes. But so I'm just bringing that to the board's attention because it will be in some other meetings in the community, as Marty will be. It could be public meetings, and press could be there. So I wanted the board to be aware that we are in the very, very beginning exploratory stage of looking at that and what that would mean for St. Lucie County to keep up with that growth that's going on in the development down there. So I wanted to share that with you. And then finally, I wanted to share what I had sent to the board yesterday, where I was going to be recommending that for our summer learning adventure camps, our credit recovery programs, that mask will be preferred, but optional for our students and staff. And I'm going to do this for a couple of reasons. We're going to have small numbers on our campuses. This won't begin until June 14th. Our secondary students will be involved in credit recovery. That's where the students come. They're on the computer for as long as it takes for them to finish up their coursework. And then our students, our K through 5 students, won't be beginning until almost 6 weeks from now on June 22nd in 2-week increments. We will continue to follow all of our safety COVID precautions, our cleaning protocols, our hand washing, social distancing. All those protocols will be in place. We'll have significantly less students on our campus. It's going to make it a lot easier to socially distance. Our class sizes will be very small. There will be no more, there'll be less than 12 students in every classroom, again, which will be easy for us to keep our students spread out. All of our teachers and staff members have had an opportunity and continue to have opportunities to be vaccinated. And now, as you heard today, vaccinations for students 12 and older will be available in the next few days, well, probably within the next few weeks, but that was announced today. My staff, myself, will continue to closely monitor this. We meet daily and talk about this. We give the board a daily update. We'll closely monitor our schools and our community for any changes and adjust as needed. I would not be suggesting this if I didn't have full confidence that I think that we're in a position that we can do that with the monitoring that we have done. We have not been lucky at all. It's really the preparation that we've done this past year that's been fruitful for us. And I know that as Mr. Freeland said, there's 2 sides to every story, and that there's folks on each side of this issue. But I think that with the small numbers we have, that I'm confident that we will be successful in that, especially if we continue to monitor as we have. So I wanted to share that with the board at this time. That completes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. At this time, Might I have a motion to confirm, approve, and ratify all of the superintendent's actions taken during the COVID-19 public health emergency for the period covered by his report, and authorizing the superintendent's continuation of such actions for so long as the governor's emergency declaration remains in effect? Have a motion?
Before we take that motion, may I make a comment?
Need a motion and a second on the floor
And
to
then the
discuss it.
comment? Okay. Well, I motion to discuss it.
You're making a motion, and then do I have a second? Second. Okay, we are open for discussion.
Talked to Mr. Gent earlier. I am concerned about the optional masks at this time within our district in the classroom. With our students, I felt much more comfortable with the fall, when we were talking about doing it in the fall, than doing so now. My concern is that we need more information, such as the current number of COVID infections that we have within our district. I'd like to get some more education and knowledge on that. Summertime is a big time where a lot of people travel. And so my first place in this, and I'm sure it is the superintendents as well as the board, is that we keep people safe. And yes, we have all, basically not all of us, but the majority of the district has gotten vaccinations, which causes me to be less concerned about our children returning with an optional mask option. I am willing to approve this with a very watchful eye on making sure that it's not an increase day by day. We are still getting COVID cases within our public schools, even though it is a much lower number. There's usually every day someone that's getting COVID within the district. Not as much as with the adults as it is with our students, our children. So with that being said, and with the approval now of children 12 and older being able to get vaccinated, that also helps in the whole scheme of things. I don't want one death. I don't want one person having to go in the hospital, and that's the way I think. And so I have to stand in my own beliefs and my own thinking. At the same time, like I said, I am willing to, at this time, to submit to the superintendent's desire, but with a very watchful eye, in which he has assured me that that would be done within our district. So just wanted to make my comment, Ms. Hawley.
Thank you, Dr. Mills. Any other comment or conversation? Ms. Richardson?
Yes, I too am very concerned about the optional mask, because right now there are variants that we know, and I'm not sure that the vaccine is taking care of all of these variants. That's just one of my concerns. I don't know that it's in terms of the percentage of residents that are vaccinated. I don't know if it's more than the 50%. And as far as the COVID, the positivity rates goes, I spoke to Mr. Freeland and I spoke today, and it's we are not testing during the we tested 634, I believe, yesterday, and the positivity rate was low, but it's because we are testing 634. So that would make the positivity rate low. So if we are going to do a mass, if we are going to test or have a figure, a realistic figure, then we have to start testing to see what the positivity rate actually is. Right now, we are concentrating on vaccination. So there's just lots of things that goes into deciding whether or not we're going to unmask. And if we start unmasking now, I think the chances of going back to masking if something happens is going to be, it's not going to be that easy. So I think that we have to really sit down and think about what it is that we're doing. This is where we are. Where do we want to be in the future? How safe do we want to be? And, so I don't think it's something that that I am ready to right now say, yes, I am 110% behind the superintendent. With that, I think that we need to, maybe do what he was suggested in the beginning, where we said that we will do it in the fall, not necessarily in the summer. People travel, things happen, let's take it a step at a time. I don't mind, like Palm Beach, they're unmasking outside, but in the classroom, I think that we need to, be careful, about our teachers and, of course, the students, our educators. That's where I am.
Any other comments? Mr. Ingersoll first.
If Dr. Mills wants to speak.
Let everyone have a chance first, then we can go back.
You're going to speak first?
Go ahead.
When I hear they will be in the building, in the classroom, with the circulation being inside, the CDC guidelines is very clear about being very careful when you're indoors. Also, I like to just put out there that when we look at the statistics, we find that people, the minority population, such as the Black and the Hispanic, they have a much harder struggle time when they get this virus. So I think that we need to be very careful to care about every single person during this COVID time, and the mask wearing is important to me in the classroom still. I was hoping that by the time we get to the fall, we could do something else, but I'm a little concerned about it changing from what it was to now, and just expressing that.
Mr. Ingersoll?
Number one, Superintendent, I'm just glad we're having this discussion and appreciate you doing this. We're not taking a vote. This is just an opportunity for us to voice our concerns and our approvals. What we say today is already news tomorrow. So just on behalf of David Freeland, when I met with him 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was under the impression that we would be wearing masks all the way up until fall, and that is true. I had that conversation with David. So when David tells the union leaders this is what's going on, and it was going on, and then like 3 days later, the governor signing this form saying no masks are required. So this whole pandemic hasn't been an exact science. If it was, we would have been wearing masks since day one, rather than they weren't good, they're not good, this, that. So there is no exact science on a pandemic. It's a learn as you go. And this is one of those things where we have to trust somewhat of science, because when they say, get your shot, be immune, we have to take some type of an advantage and see if it's going to work. And I agreed with over the summertime to take the mask off or make it optional so that we can see, so that when we start in the fall, we have some indication of what's going. My personal opinion is I would like to see our children have a better state of mental health. For me, our children behind masks is not healthy. I'm glad we're taking them off and outside and other recreational activities so that these students can at least see what each other look like. And I think that's very important, and I think it's a time for us to go ahead and start. And then another reason is if we're wearing them out and we're not wearing them in the community, why all of a sudden, now that they're in school, we put them back on? So for me, it's just, and I know they're inside a condensed area, but these students go to people's houses, they're hanging out, and they're not wearing masks. So what follows out in the community should follow out inside the classroom. So that's what I believe there. But also, I am concerned for the health of our teachers. I do encourage our teachers to take precaution, to social distance. That is a concern, not only just for the teachers, but for our bus drivers and everybody else that's participating, our support staff. So we do have to take precautions and also, monitor it like Dr. Mills says. But I know the superintendent and his staff, we get daily reports on not who, but how many employees from which school and how many students are getting quarantined. So we are on top of this. This isn't just something that we're running willy-nilly and not taking the numbers. But I feel very confident in our superintendent and his staff monitoring it, keeping us well informed of what's taking place. Because if it wasn't for the best interest of our students, we would not be doing it. And I appreciate you for it and staff. And I appreciate you for even looking at graduation and making that optional. Because, you know, these seniors have had a rough year. They haven't had a prom, they haven't had a homecoming. They haven't had some of the activities that a normal senior should have. And to be able to, you know, take pictures with their friends and not worry about masks and having an opportunity of a real live senior event is pretty important, not only to them, but to me, that they can do that. And I'm grateful I'm on the board to help support them in that effort. So that's where I stand. And the very last thing is, I know the governor did away with emergency points of order. So the reason why we're still doing it is because we're the school district, and not just our school district, but school districts are still required to do it. That's what I thought.
Yes, school districts were totally exempt from the governor's order. Right. Okay, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, I think everything that needs to be said has been said. And all I want to say is masks are in the hands of the parents, and I'm sure they'll do the right thing. And just do the right thing, parents. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. So to summarize, we have a motion and a second on the floor to confirm, approve, and ratify all of the superintendent's actions taken since our last meeting. We will now vote on that. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay. So the motion carries with a 3-2 vote to ratify the actions of the superintendent. Okay, we will move now to our attorney report. Mr. Harrell?
No item, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And school board member reports. And Dr. Mills, we'll begin with you tonight.
I do want to congratulate the Education Foundation on their awarding of scholarships. They have raised thousands of dollars for our students, and so our seniors have had the opportunity to gain scholarships through this nonprofit community organization. And so I want to just give them their kudos and say thank you so much for caring enough about our public school seniors to provide these scholarships to so many students, as well as congratulations. I noticed there was a lot of our employees that are retiring this year. And so we want to just put out a general congratulations to each and every one of you who have given so much of your time, and it's from bus drivers to maintenance to custodial, to teachers, to secretaries, to just a vast amount of people are leaving through retirement that have given many, many years to St. Lucie County Public Schools, and we thank you for your service.
Thank you, Dr. Mills. Mr. Ingersoll?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to thank, well, first off, I want to congratulate Central. They had runners-up for beach volleyball. It's not really a state function sanctioned sport, but they put together a tournament throughout the state, and Central participated in it and came second to state runners-up. And I say that because I'm very proud of our athletic department, all our athletic, what do you call them, people? Coordinators, athletic, what are they? Athletic. Oh, athletic directors. Yeah, I tell you what, you know what the first thing needs to go is I feel like I'm in a cage and can't hear. I feel like Jack Kelly all of a sudden. So we need to get rid of these as soon as it's time.
Not yet.
Not yet. I know. We have a. But no, I appreciate their willingness to look at new sports, and beach volleyball being one of them, and girls wrestling. So I'm very, very proud of our athletic directors being proactive in what they're doing. I want to thank Terrence and the facilities department looking over the fields, Lincoln Park, Westwood, and Southern Oaks, and putting more attention to those. And then I want to brag on the key clubs of Westwood and Fort Pierce Central, Denise Pescio and Mimi Hoffman. Mimi and her group went to the island and celebrated 100 years in the inlet, and they served hamburgers and hot dogs and did other things. So I appreciate the Key Club doing that. And the Central kids, instead of having a junior-senior prom, they set up for the seniors selfishly and spent their Saturday setting up. And it's pretty cool to see our kids in a pandemic year getting out and being active. And they meet through Zoom, so their meetings are Zoomed, but yet they get together and do things off campus to further their community. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Ingersoll. Ms. Richardson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I'd like to just say thank you to our teachers. Madam Chair, do we have an educator, like maintenance appreciation week?
Not designated as that, but each of our schools have little celebrations for their maintenance and bus drivers and all of that sort of thing throughout the year, yes.
Okay, all right, so I'd like to just add everybody into, the educators into that appreciation week and just say thank you for all that you have done this year. From the bottom of my heart, I really, really do appreciate everything that you have done, so thank you. And also, I'd like to echo what Dr. Mills said about the our service, all the people who are retiring right now and have retired, thank you also. And I'm just filled with gratitude to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Mr. Kelly?
Yes, Mr. Ingersoll, I know you already know this, but I'm going to remind you, always be very careful when you say something about your nemesis when the nemesis has the last word. Yeah, you know, so, okay, you got it. 'Cause I'm sure your dad has told you that. I want to congratulate everyone, all our award winners for the essay winners for the Samuel Gaines essays, and all our Star Award winners. And I also, I want to do something that I don't know, I'm new on the board, but I used to do this, but Mr. Friedland, you're here, you're still here. I want to give you a shout out and kudos. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had some blatant misconceptions on social media that were, and I'll leave it that way, I'll be light on it. And you were the first one to get on there and valiantly correct those misconceptions, and that takes a lot of guts. So thank you for doing that, sir. You were the first one, and you did it rightfully so, and you did it very professionally too, sir. So thank you. That's all I have.
I just wanted to make a point out. He mentioned David straightening out the social media misconception. And I just want to say the young lady that actually posted that on social media, as soon as she left the board meeting, she got it all straightened out on social media. So I want to give her, you know, she had heard something that she had taken and put it on social media and then found out that it was not the truth of this district. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about the African American immersion of curriculum emerging with the main core classes. So the young lady was very apologetic and also made sure she corrected her comments as well on social media.
All right. I, too, Mr. Ingersoll, along with that 100th anniversary of the Fort Pierce Inlet, some of the Westwood students, specifically 3 amazing young women from their JROTC, were there on the other side after the initial flag raising for the blessing of the fleet. And just watching those 3 young women and the pride they had and the leadership they exhibited was really, really heartwarming. Dr. Wild joined me there. We just about blew off into the inlet, but it was just a really good day. And what really warmed my heart about those 3 particular young women is when it was over, when their responsibilities were over, they didn't jump in their car and leave. They took all of their the flags and all, respectfully put them as they should to stow them. And they came back and joined in and visited with all the folks that were on the beach. Children, all, they were still in most of their uniforms, so I know they were sweltering in there. But they took that opportunity to really join in and get to know the folks there and have some fun with the kids and have a hamburger. So it was really heartwarming, and Westwood and the Key Club certainly were well represented that day. Another big event that I wanted to share with you was last week, the FFA chapter at Fort Pierce Westwood Academy had their end of the year banquet. They had it in person. Last year they were not able to, but they were in an outdoor venue this year. And I've followed the FFA chapter for years and years. My family has an agriculture background, so it's particularly warm to my heart. But this group of youngsters, and many of the students were from Alapata Flats, they're 8th graders, are moving into the Westwood chapter next year. Those students, they were just a family. And it was so heartwarming to see that despite all the trials and tribulations they've gone through as a club and as students this particular year with COVID, they have really risen to the occasion. They were able to participate in the fair and show their animals, and they came away with multiple awards. So it was just really a good week to be around the kids and to be able to celebrate their accomplishments, just as we were able to do tonight, having some of the youngsters here in the audience with us. So feels good to be in St. Lucie County and to know the children that are attending our schools are really doing well. So that concludes my comments.